Now, the latest in the Miguna Miguna Manenos is that yet another court order has been issued ordering for the immediate release of Miguna Miguna. Miguna Miguna is of course being held somewhere at the airport after an attempt to yet again illegally deport him failed. The interesting thing here is that the court orders that the government has ignored, refused to obey are piling up. I believe the number has now reached 7. 7 court orders that the government has stubbornly refused to comply with. 7 court orders to do with Miguna Miguna that the government will not budge on. Of course, this raises the question, what really is the issue here? What is it about Miguna Miguna in the government? The truth is, it would appear that whatever is against Miguna Miguna is personal. Personal because of the force and the passion that is being used against Miguna Miguna. Now, just a small aside here. I have had a very interesting argument where somebody has said that actually Miguna Miguna is just being stubborn, that he should have followed the normal procedure at the airport that every other passenger follows. Indeed, this is the rhetoric the government is selling, okay? And it would seem that some people in some circles within our country have fallen for it hook, line, and sinker. Now, first of all, let me just quickly remind you of the facts. Miguna Miguna did not lose his passport. His Kenyan passport, that is. Okay? He has not hidden away his Kenyan passport. Okay? You all know what happened to his passport. It was snatched from him by force. And when the court ordered for the passport to be returned, the immigration returned the passport, but not before they perforated and destroyed it so that it was unusable. And so, the court ordered the government to facilitate Miguna's return. Yeah? And that included replacing the passport of his which they had destroyed. Okay? Now, replacing a passport does not mean he freshly applies for a passport. No. It means exactly what the English word means. Replace his passport. And so under those circumstances, Miguna should not even have been asked a single question at the airport. Yeah? Immediately appeared, all the immigration people would have needed to do, yeah, in case they didn't know what Miguna Miguna looks like, would have been to ask for identification and confirm that it's Miguna. And then they would have facilitated his entry. Because first of all, the government was in violation of the court order that they replace his passport. In fact, if you want to look at this from yet another angle, the court order, yeah, was enough of a travel document, much more than enough of a travel document to allow Miguna Miguna into the country. Now, of course, all these facts are being ignored, and the government is pretending it does not know, it never heard of such things, yeah, they never happened. And now what they are saying is that if we allowed Miguna to come into the country without following the laid down procedures, this would be opening up a free-for-all, a dangerous precedent. Now, that would only apply to somebody who does not have a passport and the government has nothing to do with it. But for Miguna Miguna, a person who this same government harassing him at the airport destroyed, perforated his passport, okay? I mean, that is just absolutely mind-boggling when somebody can actually come up with such an excuse. But even more hilarious, and I'm not laughing, is the fact that the government can actually say they're strictly following the law. Okay, in the Miguna Miguna issue, they're strictly following the law, playing everything by the book. Why is that hilarious? It is hilarious because that kind of statement would assume that court orders are not part of following the law. In other words, the government is strictly following the laws by the book, except court orders. Wow. Now that in itself is such a contradiction, even if you're not a lawyer, that it's just crazy. Because really, what is the work of the judiciary? The judiciary interprets the laid down law. Yeah? and orders and gives orders according to that written law. So how is it possible that you're following the law to the letter and at the same time ignoring court orders? Now that is the most ridiculous thing ever in the history of the world. Dictatorial draconian governments have come up with crazy things. They have said crazy things. But that one, by the government of Kenya, has to be in the top 10 of the most ridiculous things ever a government has said in its defense. We are strictly following the law, but they are silent on court orders. Indeed, there is yet another court order which I spoke about at the beginning of this recording, the 7th one, which has ordered for the immediate release of Miguna Miguna. Now that has not yet happened. It hasn't. And many Kenyans are doubting whether that court order will ever be obeyed, because there are 6 other court orders before it that have been ignored by this government, which is strictly following the law to the letter. Wow. And so we go back to the question I started with. What is this personal vendetta against Miguna Miguna? Is it something he said? Is it his abrasive style that rubbed somebody up the wrong way? What is it really? What is it that annoyed somebody so much that they are prepared to shame the whole Republic of Kenya in front of the whole world? Because as I make this recording today, Kenyans stand in shame. Kenyans hang their heads in shame because the whole world is talking about this incident, about a country that's ejecting its own citizen, deporting its own citizen. Where else have you heard of that? You'll have to correct me. I've never heard of anything like this. Now, of course, I'm very much aware that of the fact that legally it is possible to denounce your citizenship. It's possible to say, I'm no longer Kenyan. However, to date, the government has failed, because the burden of proof is always on the accuser. The government has failed to produce evidence to prove that Miguna Miguna, even if it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whenever, it has failed to produce evidence that this man, once upon a time, renounced his Kenyan citizenship. They have been completely unable to do that. And yet they continue to harass him. And this is why I'm saying the only conclusion we can come to is that this thing is personal. Somebody very powerful somewhere wants to fix Miguna, and to fix him good. It would have been much better if they had even planted something on him, stolen goods or whatever, or drugs, and actually accused him in a court of law with some evidence. At least that, in my view, would have been better. It would not have painted the country in such a poor light. At least there would have been that doubt, yes, maybe the guy is guilty, maybe the guy did something. But this is a completely innocent person. And the government has not been able to produce a single shred of evidence against him. And yet, they continue violating his rights as a human being. Not even as a Kenyan, as a human being. Oh boy, this personal vendetta must be very serious, extremely serious. Now, before I go, I need to mention something briefly. I have received a very negative reaction from the video I made about the political fallout as a result of the incident at the airport. Now, I'm a big boy. I have a very thick skin for criticism, so I have no problem with the criticism. Okay? Believe me, I have absolutely no problem with it. However, if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you know what is going to happen in Kenya. We are headed to a brand new beginning. Nothing from the old. Now what that means is that everybody we hold dear at the moment, especially on the political scene, will not be anywhere near the brand new leadership that is coming to Kenya. And indeed, I believe I told you guys very early, anza kutoa roho yako pole pole. I told you, remember that recording. I said if you're a staunch supporter of His Excellency Raila Odinga, anza kutoa roho yako hapo polepole. I said, if you're a staunch supporter of President Uhuru Kenyatta, do the same. Toa roho yako hapo polepole. Why? Because they're not part of the new Kenya. Now, I know some of us are very emotionally attached to some of these political figures, yeah. But I just need to advise you, please, it's not too late, yeah. Find a way to disengage yourself emotionally, okay? I'm not saying you hate them. Just find a way to disengage yourself emotionally because of what is coming. You can be very heartbroken by what I say on this channel here today, but I assure you, you'll be much more heartbroken when this thing comes to pass. When actually, those people who you treasure so much, small gods to you, yeah, vanish from the political scene. Because that is exactly where we're headed for, yeah. Those who have been following this channel for a while will know we started talking about these things a long time ago. Long before there was any semblance of any overturn. But you all know the stage we have reached. The overturns are happening like popcorn. They are popping up all over the place in very quick succession. And generally speaking, we have been mostly right on this channel. And therefore there's a very high probability, yeah, that we'll continue to be right on this channel, especially concerning those current leaders whom you treasure so much. I too treasure them, yeah. However, we have to prepare for the future. We really don't have a choice in this matter. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.